it's so important for us to understand that we need to be rooted and grounded in the biblical narrative and things in Scripture. All these things that are happening without, and we're talking about silver and gold and how much there might be or not be. This is all, it comes from both prophetic revelation, but there's a biblical narrative and there's fascinating scriptural fulfillment happening right now, such as has never happened before. And so it's like we're in the days of before and after. We hinge moment in history. And so there are some things that we're going to look at in Revelation that connect exactly in such a precise, specific way to everything going on. And it's always this, as you know, the things I find are the hopeful and good things the Lord is saying, not because I'm against the other, because he's always leading with that for his people. For his people, he is always leading with the hopeful and good thing. Anybody thinks, no, the prophets didn't. They had hard chastising words. The hard chastising words, without exception, were always to the Baal worshipers, the Molech worshipers. It was to those who departed from God. They were never giving the hard words. They weren't saying like, well, you're not praying enough. You didn't fast enough.
Yeah.
It wasn't those doing anything towards the Lord or towards good. He wasn't saying, well, it's not enough, because that's that religious spirit thing we get on us, that we have to do something more. So just part of the good news, because I love the good news. I think it was Caroline Levitt just said the national gas prices has fallen to an average of $2.79, and it's hit $1.99 in places. And so, but what I had already written down that I heard from the Lord is, and actually been getting in the last several days over and over, the national average will be $1.99 shortly. The national average. And but then I was like, well, it's already $2.79. It's going to get close. So Venezuela being taken care of and taken. I don't know if you're able to put up the specific screen that has President Trump showing and calling himself acting president of Venezuela, DJT. So here's now for those of you watching, they can hear me. Yeah, y'all can hear me. So you can see it's Donald J. Trump. It's literally him. And he puts up, this is a couple of days ago, and in typical Trumpian form, he also then takes it down after several hours. Acting president of Venezuela in January 2026. And so but there's a statement he's making there, and you're like, oh, what's he doing being braggadocio? And, those who do not understand either God or Trump or what's going on or what he's saying or what he's telling even deep state elements, you have to understand this is the country that was determining the elections in over 70 nations. We're not quite sure for how long, even maybe decades. They've been doing it through their Dominion, and I think before it was called Smartmatic or something, servers. And it really was a CIA, dark CIA base. And so it's a deep state. It's really even about London City, and we're talking about Babylon is falling. It's no different. They're not two different groups. They're the same. And so that is big. And we have connections. I was called yesterday and have conversations with a pastor from Venezuela, from Caracas, the capital. And they're also asking, what are you seeing? So we're having, they don't fully know. They're kind of wanting from me what's going on for sure. They're like, we'll say, thankful. And then when I said, I just said, listen, President Trump is called to be a Cyrus to Venezuela. And he's not just interested in your freedom. He's interested in your prosperity. One way or the other, it's going to happen. And you do have to cooperate as the Venezuelan people in order for that to be expedited. And the evil ones, have to keep surrendering at the pace they are and more. And that will accelerate. accelerate it. But if President Trump says this is where it's going, that's where it's going.
Can you, Johnny, can you, I don't want, if this is not a good place to ask this, but when you tell them they have to cooperate, can you give me a line, just a sentence? What did that mean, cooperate? How are they to cooperate?
Well, and they just have to rise and shine in the ways that they have to. And it's hard to know exactly unless we know what they're faced with.
Okay.
There is, if it's what they're in Iran, there's like, it's risk and courage going to the streets. There's a time to go to the streets. There's a time it's too early to the streets, but there's the right time to do it. There's when the dam's about to be broken, you want to not have been the one that stayed back, but then you don't forehead. There's a whole obedience to the Lord and all that kind of way as well. But then something. Part of the cooperation is the whistleblowing capacity that everybody has from within to find out. It requires discovering who's on your side and who has power and who won't turn it against you. But you have the whistleblowing ability to be a game changer. And so, we have, again, well, I won't say too many things about Venezuela, but there's Cuba. I also have a connection with the pastors. Like, things are very tense here, and we're watching it as well, and essentially telling him the same thing. And President Trump, I don't know, I think I have that if you see it there, Paul. President Trump just telling Cuba that Venezuela has, through him, has cut off all monies to Cuba. I may not have sent that, but if you find it, you can put it on there while I'm talking. So it's the one where President Trump, I may have held that back. So if I don't see it come up soon, I'll just tell you that President Trump has, he released, again, you can look this up on his social media, and he's like, Cuba, this is a good time to make a deal because you're going to have no oil, no money. He basically admits what I had heard already, that basically the security around Maduro was Cuban, and they're the ones that got taken out. And he's like, you don't have that anymore. It's not really important to put it up, find it, because it goes quicker without it. So that's fine, even if you don't find it. So the U.S. Attorney's Office in D.C. just opened a criminal investigation over the last 24 hours into the Fed chairman, and that's a huge deal. Greenland is coming in. It's important for all the reasons President Trump is saying and more. And so when I say coming in, that's going to be part of the United States. And again, I think
sorry, Johnny, you said that really fast. You just said it, did you not? Did I just hear you say it's going to be part of the United States?
Yes.
Okay, because you just said that really fast. Is that a prophetic proclamation?
Yes. And there is something President Trump has released. And again, Paul, if I sent that one, because it's coming to my mind now, it's again from DJT, and he has a map of the United States, Canada, and Greenland showing Washington, D.C. being the capital of this whole thing. And this is going to be controversial for Canadians who hear this, but I'm going to tell you anyway. But if you see it, put it up so you know I didn't just make it up. It's like, why is President Trump insisting on this thing? Well, the reason he's insisting on it is because Canada has been an asset of the crown, has been an asset of this very London city we're talking about that's coming down and being brought down. You just think you've been your own, but you haven't been. And so there is really the whole world kind of going to be partitioned into three. There's going to be, say, the good guys in China, the good guys in Russia, and the good guys in the United States. Wow. They're not them taking over because they're power hungry. It is the only way to break down the 13 families that are part of this London city mafia that is fallen down. The only way to stop them is to have three independent powers cooperating together. And there's some that will have Saudi Arabia, India are going to have a little lesser role within all that as well. You may have noted in the last few days that Kim Jong-un of North Korea essentially promised support for life for Putin from Russia. And it's like, what's he doing there? It's a statement to the deep state as well. It's like You think if you take out Putin and Russia through Ukraine, NATO people, that you're going to have accomplished something, that you've knocked out the enemy from the west, from the east. No, you haven't. I'm here, and he's showing off some new weaponry as well. And so it's beside the point for those of you who are like, but he's not a good guy. There's a lot of things where people that haven't been good because they've been forced to be bad, and they're being given an opportunity to redeem themselves in some kind of way. And then there's such a psyop, psychological operation, and new people in and old people out and doubles and all that, that it's too complex. Just know there's a big thing. I think y'all can see, who are observing, know there's something big going on. And there is a reason why. I'll just tell you this, back to the Canada thing. Canada was, this has a desire of the deep state has been that it be right next to the United States, like Ukraine was next to Russia, because they know, okay, we can't get the Russian leadership to agree with the world agenda. We can't get the United States to do so. We need border access so we can infiltrate in every kind of way. So it's like we're going to be very friendly, pro-U.S. from the top, from the controlled areas of Canada for as long as we can. And then there's going to be a time where we will ask you to do some more things that undermine and infiltrate the United States. And so, for instance, is it Carney, his name, the Prime Minister of Canada? He's been connected. Mark Carney, right? He was president or something of this London City banking that I'm telling you about. How do you go from being in London City, and I'll explain London City in just a moment. How do you go from there to being Prime Minister of Canada? It's because it's the same thing. So Canada has to be brought under abeyance to something. You're not independent. You haven't been independent. You've been a crown asset. You can't be a crown asset anymore. Actually, it's already been cleared up behind the scenes, and it's just making it. President Trump keeps rolling this out, and whether it takes him 5 months, 5 years to get through this, this is going to happen. And he's basically telling you, get used to it. Washington, D.C., we're going to have Greenland and Canada because these are properties that were designed to hurt us, to take us out if they didn't get us any other way. And so those are things to know. So London City, briefly before I get, there we go. Hey, thank you for finding that picture. I probably didn't send it.
Good job.
But look at it, everybody, just look at it. That's Donald J. Trump put that up. And he has no interest at almost 80 years old at trying to be president of all these things, or including Venezuela. These are statements and announcements to, we'll say, the patriots, but essentially to the intel community, to the black hats. This is where we're going, like it or lump it. This is what's happening, and this is part of what has to happen. And so, you know, sorry, that's a whole nother question is, are you the 51st state? Does he let you be an independent country? All that kind of stuff. But you haven't been. If you think you've been independent Canada, you haven't been.
Well, that's up there. While that map is still up there, again, here I'm doing that. Can you clarify? You've got the Venezuela map up there. Is that what that is?
No,
and,
no.
What is that circle?
That's circle. What the circle is?
Okay, you said Venezuela a minute ago. I didn't know if you were including that in the yellow. I mean, it's not here, but I didn't know if that's supposed to be Venezuela down there.
Well, it might, from the previous, it might be, can't see it.
Yeah.
Conversation where I said that they showed it as well, where he's the acting president of Venezuela.
Yeah,
right?
So he's probably just as serious about that, even though it comes off as a joke. He's probably more serious than people think.
And here, just under a little bit of inspiration from the Holy Spirit as well. In Venezuela, the number 2 guy his name is Diosdado Cabello. And he's the one they're afraid of right now because he's the one that has been left behind. And I have question marks about him. And he's been clearly on the evil side, but I do feel like he's key. I'm saying this even for intercessors to pick up on it and carry it to the next level. It's possible if there's some way this gets to Diosdado Cabello. Surrender. Make sure you work with the good guys, and God. You know, your name, Dios dado, his name, his first name, Dios dado, means God given. Dios is God, dado is given. God given, cabello is hair. God given is like, he's supposed to be a Samson for the right side. He's been on the wrong side. And so he's a key individual in this whole thing, not whether it happens or not, but just whether there's less pain or more pain for the people. And so there's cooperation that could happen from people like Diosdado Cabello that allows for this thing to accelerate in a good way. President Trump also just promised them $100 billion. Like 2 days ago, there's $100 billion in resources for Venezuela. So none of this is what the liberal media, which is not really media, it's propaganda. What they're saying is Trump being power hungry for anything. He wants to set people free. He can't help it because he's a Cyrus. God has put that on him. God says in Isaiah 45, I'm taking you by the hand and you're going to set people free because that's what I want you to do. President Trump would love to be, he really is a man of peace. But he also can't just stand seeing dictators destroy their people. And so of God is using that compassion of his as well.